All right. This is the David Washington Show here at the Oxford Sports Pub and Secret Society with my You Can't Make This Shit Up co host, Joel Hawksley of the Morning Constitution. That's his show.
Yeah, Mike shows Constitution. You got your name on yours.
I couldn't come up with a good idea, a good title like yours.
But listen, David Washington show is like my must go to when I'm getting ready to wind up the day. You have that evening, you got that later show. It's to me, it's informative. It's different. Like I'm trying to still get my feet on the Constitution. I think we've got it.
Right.
More history now, and we're talking politics and history. And I had a great guest today who I think would be awesome for you to invite later for your show.
Okay.
I think it opens up a lot when we have guests, and I appreciate you having done these last two episodes with Jimmy Auffant. And Jimmy Auffant and I have always said, like, he and I polar opposites, but have some of the best conversations with him.
And you two need to be on the mic together and do a show. You can't make this shit up.
It's fun.
Or Morning Constitution,
it's
take
fun.
over the David Washington Show, because you all have had some really good conversations.
We got into in depth one day, and it was like when he ever said, Joel, who do you think was the most conservative president in our lifetime? And I'm thinking, in the back of my mind, I'm thinking, well, the one I'm thinking of is a Democrat, so I can't really go with it. And so I'm like, Ronald Reagan, and he's like, no, Ronald Reagan by any other term would be a liberal today.
Yeah,
like it was Bill Clinton, and I'm like, oh, let's dive into this
welfare reform.
But yeah, and it came from we started to have a conversation about where it came from. Like, no, he had to deal with Newt Gingrich. He had to deal with a Congress that was fully. We had the Senate and we had the House at the time, so he had to really work with the Republicans. But he was also from a conservative state.
That's right.
And his wife was in charge of the radical right at one time. We have a lot of good conversations, so it's fun to have conversations with him. So I'm glad you did that, and I'm glad you invited me to this show, because we get to wrap up what I thought was very interesting, since you're trying to get the Democrats back in order. A lot of the stuff you mentioned, though, like Republicans have been doing, like they've been there, like we've been organized. We've been so organized that this used to be a Democrat-led state. This is now a very Republican state.
Correct.
You say, hey, it was a swing state. Well, under Ron DeSantis, it has become a red state, and it's going to take a lot for the Democrats to come back. And I'm happy with where we're at. I'm a traditional Republican, so I do kind of go off the deep end every once in a while. But I think we have to talk to the fact that our candidates need to have discipline and faith and trust in organizations that will help them and not hinder them.
Exactly.
They can't believe that, hey, this program is all that, and it hands them a loss, and it will just hand them more losses. And we've seen that. It's like, hey, come to our leadership academy. It's the best thing since sliced bread. You make all that money off these candidites, and they become very good friends, but they never get elected.
Exactly.
Like Lee Steinhauser. He's hesitant to get in the race, and then when he does get in the race, he drops out because it's not his time. Listen, you went to the leadership academy. Grab those whats and then get yourself in there. No, he's not taking that step.
Right.
So, and then you have my good friend Khalid Munir. Yes, you went to the leadership academy. You got to meet a lot of people. But where were they when you ran?
Exactly.
I want to know where these people go. Like, if you can't fundraise, you can't win. Like, you have a congressman that we didn't even know his name, never mind his diaper size, when he started to run in Frost, and he didn't even have a branded building for people to know where he was. But he won because he had millions of dollars in activist money that he brings in. And he can say he's from Florida. He can say he's from Orlando, but I've never seen him before. So listen, he's got a good story. He's now the Gen Z's first congressman, and he'll get the publicity for a little bit, but he'll get nothing accomplished.
And I can tell you that, his strategy, how he became congressman, had very little to do with what I believe the Democrats here in the state of Florida, the field operations, not necessarily the field operations, but the folks who would go out and knock on doors and advocate for a particular candidate. I just didn't see it. I saw a ton. I saw at least, and I have them, 11 mailers that came through my mailbox. I have them. That's what I saw. I didn't see someone knocking on my door.
Right.
Yes, there were,
But now let's look at it for a second, though, because you're a consultant, and I consider myself a consultant at times. I mean, politics is in my blood. I'm more on the PR type side. So those mailers, I probably would have written them. But
you work.
So what I see is the Democrats didn't have to do anything to win the seat.
Yeah, it was drawn for a Democrat. It was just a matter of who.
What you're talking about with your vitalizing, reinvigorating, or whatever. You're trying to build a party back that's like sleeping. They're sleeping in on Saturdays now. They're sleeping in on Sundays. They're not.
They're taking selfies and patting each other on the back for what I don't know.
Yeah, and it's got to change. But this is a seat that was winnable, and look at the names that jumped in the race. I mean, we had the Walking Dead revived.
Scott Maxwell said.
So right. I mean, they came back and said, "Hey, I was a shitty congressman, so I want to get back in there. I went to jail, so I want to get back in there." I mean,
we had former Congressman Alan Grayson.
Yeah.
We had former Congresswoman Kareem Brown. We had
Bracy. We had
State Representative Bracy.
We had Bracy, who lied at every second he could about how he could get things done. He got the most done. And if we had the AI,
fact check.
Listen, we had the AI. If we had the AI that we're going to have in Roboland, we would have had Sophia saying. Sophia would say, "No, you only co-sponsored that bill. No, you didn't actually pass more legislation than as a Democrat than anybody else." I mean, everything he said was a lie, and people just were like, "I'm tired of Bracy. I'm tired of Bracy." And then he goes off and says he got stuff accomplished, so it means he's working with Republicans, and that kills your campaign right there, especially in a place where we're voting on a Democrat. The Republicans are. I can't believe we had 9 to 10 Republicans waste their money on this race, but
they thought
you need to have competitive races. Right. So I'm not going to fight with that one.
And again, thank you to Jimmy. He has 5 points of his own that hopefully, because he's sick today, he's not here. However, next week, perhaps he'll present his own 5 points. But today we wrap up the 20-point plan that I came up with the last 5, part 4, the last 5. And number 16 was it's to pay your army, your field army.
Remember when this field army? Yeah, remember when the field army was volunteers? Because people used to volunteer to go to church. People used to volunteer to go.
That spirit of volunteer.
It's gone.
Yeah,
and you're not going to get successful. Help in volunteers anymore.
It's like herding cats.
Yeah, but your volunteers don't know half the things that want. You get a volunteer. They're party. They know nothing about you, and you go knocking on the door, and they're just like, "Well, he's the Democrat." Okay. Well, he's the Republican. Okay. What's he going to do?
Right.
Well, he's a nice guy. He smiles nice. He gives good speeches. The paid person's going to say what you tell him to say.
Exactly. They'll get the job done. They're on the clock. They're being paid to do a job that you expect them to do and that's why they're being paid.
And it's successful because you need that door knocking. Like
Mhm.
when I was working for a Republican and I was desperately needed some extra coverage because the county is so big. I went to a company called Door to Door I-4
Hello.
with Pete Clark, and I listened to what they had. It was a burden to the pocketbook and to the campaign, but it was something I needed.
Mhm.
And this is where I agree with you. You got to pay to play when it comes to getting your message out. You can't get it out the same way you used to. So absolutely, I would suggest that somebody would go out and find that organization.
There are paid canvassers right now in the Ocoee city elections right now that are due next week. The election is next week, next
Right.
Tuesday. And these canvassers are known to have worked that area during the 2022 elections. So they're very familiar and they know what they're doing. And when you pay for a service that knows the lay of the land, knowledgeable about the campaign and the candidate, it's money well spent.
Well-
It's an investment in your campaign.
But let's go one step further, because I'm going to kind of cover the thing that we forget when we're utilizing volunteers. We're doing the best we can, but there's no return on investment. When you talk about return on investment, how many doors did you knock? How many? I mean, it gets real deep, and statistics need to come back. You need to know that every dollar you spend
That's correct.
is coming back. And if you're not spending a dollar on that person at the door, okay, so you walk by the trash can and you see all your brochures in the trash. You go, which one of the
What
volunteers did this? And you can't pinpoint it because the volunteers. You get what you pay for.
Exactly.
And I'm not going to ridicule. There are great volunteers out there.
Sure.
But those great volunteers come in very small packages. They get very intricate into your campaign. They have specific jobs. You find them because you need that energy.
Correct.
It's like, I want somebody to put my signs out and get them delivered. I have this one person in charge. You can also then say, well, my canvassers can help you get this accomplished. That's a different story.
Right. And there's always room, like you said, for volunteers. However, to get the job done in an efficient manner, in an affordable manner, invest in your field operations. Pay.
Republicans pay $10. I know the Democrats pay $15. So, it's kind of more expensive for, Democrats to run. So
Hey, they believe in, minimum wage should be at $15.
Listen,
and who's going to walk in July?
But
June, in Florida heat? There's few candidates who would do that.
So let's say this. I just was joking that, but yeah, $10 an hour. I can get my canvassers out there, but I can also pay them $1 a door at the same time. And let me tell you, it can get very, 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 very expensive very quickly. And then you have to keep, you got to, it's a campaign. You don't realize that your liability is still there. So if you're not paying for these people to walk these doors, they're not insured. If they're not insured,
that's right.
As a candidate, you're liable. You could get worse off than you started.
That's right.
But how many times are you putting a 1099 together and you think you're safe, and then that 1099 turns out to be a lawsuit because, hey, I got injured.
That's right.
I had somebody throw a cigarette in my face, and I was the only reason I was on that porch that fell through was because of you. And nobody thinks of that unless you say, hey, door to door, I know you're insured. So,
that's right.
I'm willing to pay for the insurance.
That's a very smart plug there. Yes, insurance matters.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I think you think it's just a campaign. Well, it's not just a campaign. It's a business.
It's a business.
And this is the business that leads to getting elected. And when you get elected, you need to be prepared for that transition too.
That's correct.
So yes, please listen to that advice. It's better to pay for.
Yeah. Number 17, don't care what you think. It's what you know that matters. And this is specific to the consultants. The candidate, they may not be fully aware of all the issues that they need to be aware of. Hopefully they have some idea to make them a better candidate. However, that team that you have, everyone has an opinion. However, it's the facts that matter.
Yeah, but I don't think we come to a candidate with opinion.
That's correct.
I mean, we have our opinions, but I think what we present to our candidate is researched. It's like,
Experience.
listen, I want you to take this position on this issue, but you're running in this place, and that cannot happen. And if you do take that position, you will lose this race. And to be willing to say that to a candidate, like, listen, I'd rather you just not talk about that subject at all. If you can avoid that subject, let's avoid it.
Sure.
But that's what it's exactly what you're saying. We know the area. If you're running in Pine Hills, we know the area.
That's correct.
There's certain things you can't say because the voter of Pine Hills is offended. But you say it to any place else in the entire city, it's a whole different thing, because everybody's beating up on Pine Hills, but you need that Pine Hills vote. You need to listen to the advisor, because the advisor is going to say, yeah, you don't want to say that.
Right. Not everyone's going to have the right answer. What we do is that if we don't have the right answer, again, we're going to do the research. We're going to have the data. We're going to have the experience to have a sound answer, the right answer at the right time. And so we don't want to put that whole weight on the candidate. And that's why we take this very professional, organized approach to what we do, because this is serious. We're talking about our own communities. We're talking about what's best for our communities. And we both want our communities to be represented by the best people.
And listening to your consultant is very important, because there comes a point where, yes, you're the candidate. Yes, you're the one that's the focus. You have all these opinions and you want to do this the right way. But when you're out there and you're running your own campaign and you're taking and going your own direction, it's a lot more work on your consultant. And if you don't have a consultant, that's even worse, because you're totally on your own. And then here's my favorite, David.
Let's hear it.
So you're trying to tell this candidate who's running, I'm going to say sheriff. I'm just going to grab one. So no, it's not Joe Lopez or whatever. I mean, everybody's going to try to tie it to something. But so you're running for sheriff, and all of a sudden it's like, I want to get into Pine Hills because I know Pine Hills wants a better sheriff. I know they want this, they want this and they want this. And yet you're sitting there saying, hell no, you need to get like Nona. You need to get out there where the voter is really cares about the sheriff.
And will come out and support you.
Because the Pine Hills people, they no matter if you get sheriff or not, they're going to hate you. They're going to hate you because you're not going to be there enough, or you're not going to do enough.
And boy, did I hear that a lot.
It's going to be that. But you go out there and just reiterate. You reiterate what's going on and why they need a new sheriff. Mm-hmm. They're like, you're not going to be any different.
Walking and knocking on doors in Pine Hills, I did hear that.
Yeah, Pine Hills. I mean,
it was tough.
I love walking Pine Hills. It's just as scared as I mean, it's a scary thing. My son is now moving his family into Pine Hills.
Really? Okay.
I am freaking the hell out. But there's good.
It's like any other neighborhood to me.
It's what you make it. You make it safe, it'll be safe. Mm-hmm. If you engage with your neighbors and they know who you are, and they're not afraid of your neighbors, it'll be a different life. But you have to be prepared for the anomalies. And I think you have to do that in any neighborhood. Right. You can't say I'm living in this, I'm living on the cul-de-sac and I have the safest house in the neighborhood. And all of a sudden somebody decides to do, sell drugs on my street, on my cul-de-sac, and boom, there's a shooting, right? You can't, that's unexpected stuff. So yes, you're in a safe neighborhood, but that thing can come up. But knowing the neighborhood, knowing how to talk to these people, look, run that sheriff's campaign X, Y, and Z, because this person's already got Z and Y covered
Right.
because they've been there forever.
Right.
And,
That's
and,
true.
and that Z and Y is always name recognition, because A is name recognition, Z is name recognition.
Every
you
day.
start and you end with it.
That's right.
So you can't change A and you can't change Z. And it's our job to try to make sure A and Z accomplish in a short
Right.
period of time.
And this leads to the next point, number 18. It's something that we are in the works of creating, and the Democrats should pay close attention to this. And that's creating a legitimate, experience-based, data-driven leadership academy.
So I'm going to jump in. Okay, so Bringing America Together Again is a 501c4. It is totally built to educate on politics. And you and I, have always seen the candidates that come forward and say, this was nothing like I thought it was going to be.
Mm-hmm.
So what we've planned and what we really want to do, and we're so close to getting it accomplished, is having Bringing America Together Again actually have a leadership academy that tells you, no, that's moronic. You can't do that. To have a actual consultant in media say, look, you can't say stupid things in front of the media. You have to be prepared. Delay. All the things that you have to do, but you don't do because you just decide to go wing it.
And understand all the working pieces of an effective campaign. My approach is looking at a campaign from the perspective of creating a startup business. And that's what essentially it is, a small business.
David, this is my favorite. If you're trying to get into politics because you want to see your name on a sign,
oh boy,
go to your local print shop and just print your freaking name on all the signs you want to, because that is not going to win your election.
Right.
And seeing your name on the ballot, if that's all the money you want to spend to put your name on the ballot, don't hire me. You don't want me, because I'm going to be a burden to you, because I'm going to say signs don't win elections.
They do not win elections.
And you're going to still go, hey, the biggest sign and the this and then that. No, it's not going to happen.
In a very good, effective leadership academy, we'll go through why signs do not vote, why it doesn't matter if your face is on a yard sign because someone else's face is on a yard sign. Your face is not going to be on the ballot, but your name is. But what part of your name is going to be on the ballot? Things like that.
I'm going to point out that Chadwick Harding, he's a really good friend. I have no issue with him, but the thing is, he ran for school board. And what I would have said as a consultant is, why are you wasting your money making the signs in the shape of apples? If you're spending extra money on something that's not going to help your name recognition, it's going to detract from your name being on the sign. And I didn't know the man at the time, and I'm looking at this going, who is his consultant? Well, I guess he didn't have it, but it's like, why did you do that?
It looked cute, but it's not going to win elections.
It's a stunt, and it backfires, because it's not. I'm not looking at the sign. I'm looking at the sign.
Exactly. Did we get one for our collection?
That was quite a ways back. So no, I don't think I do. But I'm sure Chadwick has about a million of them in his backyard, because I'm sure he printed too many.
The Leadership Academy will talk about that and give the honest reasoning about why you want to do this versus that, and prepare a candidate and a campaign for being a winner.
How many times have you heard some candidates say, wow, I wish I had less signs? It's at the end of the campaign. They're looking at the signs that they couldn't get out, or the fact that they got plucked.
Exactly.
You have one candidate that's like, I'm going to find where they recycle them, and I'm going to pull them out. Why you shouldn't spend any time looking for your own signs. You shouldn't spend any time. Take
the loss. That's how it is.
That's why you have somebody else pay for it. Like, that's why you ask for contributions. If they believe in you, they already know you.
Exactly.
They're going to be the ones screaming, I haven't seen a sign. I haven't seen a sign. Look, I gave you money. Where's your sign? Let me tell you, I got better than a sign. I've got a commercial that's going to come out, and it's going to hit the airwaves, and it's going to be the equivalent of 20,000 signs, because
That's right.
that's going to be in the right place at the right time. Or I'm a conservative and I'm actually going to be in Watermark. I'm a conservative. I'm actually be in the Orlando Weekly, right? I'm going to, and you're not going to say terrible things about me. They're going to talk about me, but they're not going to say terrible things about me, because I was approachable and I came to them and said, listen, I'm a different kind of Republican, right?
Good point.
Hey, I'm going to have a conversation with you. You can down me all you want, but at least the Democrats will know I was not scared to go talk to the Orlando Weekly. I was not, scared as a Republican to go talk to Watermark. Like, hey, I talked to Watermark, and now all of a sudden I have this inkling that I want to sleep with. That's not what this is. A legitimate news source for a group of people that you need to talk to.
Exactly.
And
That's a good point.
Can't be afraid of it, and explain the difference in media.
Right.
Like, why should, as a conservative, you go to the Sentinel and not blow them off? Right? Yes, there were daring Republicans that actually did, but this last election, they were praying to get a Jason Broder in there. They were praying,
Fred Hawkins.
They were praying to get Fred Hawkins to show up.
Exactly.
They could use a
Susan Placencia.
I had to do something else. Like, they didn't show up for anything. That was fun. I mean, that was real fun.
Speaking of candidates and opponents in an election, the 19th point is defining your opponents aggressively.
I don't understand this one.
So this one, yes, because you Republicans do this so well. The Republicans know how to set the tone, set the bar for a campaign, and for the Democrats, they allow their opponent to define them. And when the Republicans do, it's overwhelming force. So for the Democrats, our friends on the Democrat side, you need to get out there and define your candidate, your opposition, and let people know where you are and where they are.
I'm going to reveal something to you, David.
I
don't usually reveal
secret sauce.
Here we go. I don't usually reveal a lot of stuff. So I am a fan. I was a fan of Jeb Bush.
Okay.
Right. When he decided he was going to run for president, I had no problem. I've had no problem with the Bushes at the time. So yes, they had done some things that were probably a little bit more liberal than I had expected. They made a government a little bigger than I thought they should. Sure. But Jeb, when he came in to the state of Florida, he actually got rid of, overburdensome regulations on, why are you inspecting cars when all you're doing in the inspection process is trying to get more repairs for these places? Like, that's a scam,
Is that the exhaust?
Yeah, it's hey, I find that cars here in Florida seem to be newer and better because they don't have to go through emissions. And I see very few toxic cars running around.
Yeah,
but I go up to Massachusetts where they still run those tests, and I go, holy crap, you see how much black smoke just came out of that freaking vehicle? So I mean, I'm a fan of Jeb Bush, but when you say this, the definition is where I can relate, because Donald Trump basically made it a point to define each one of his people. Yeah, so you can't look at Marco Rubio and not think of little Marco. You can't look at Jeb Bush anymore and think low energy. I mean, that's exactly what we're talking about. And as a Republican, I said I couldn't relate because that's all I saw.
That's right.
With Donald Trump. Donald Trump eliminated his opponents by simply giving you their biggest weakness and saying, do you really want this to be your leadership?
That's right.
But Sleepy Joe doesn't work. See, but now he's trying to do Sleepy Joe, but you can't do that with somebody who's established. Like
Exactly.
everybody knows who Biden is. You
Right.
can't. You keep on trying, Donald, because you got to get something better than what you have. Because
The
you have
opposition he
not.
should be worried about is DeSantis.
Yeah,
and he has
trying, but he's trying
for DeSantis.
But he's trying to define him also because he
Right.
knows he is sanctimonious. You know,
Yeah.
like, hey, yes, I think that Ron understands that you're the reason he won the election. Yes, okay, I get that. But as a governor, I think he did that governorship by himself. I don't think that Donald Trump was sitting in his office saying,
2022
hey,
was
this
all
is,
Ron.
This is you. Okay.
Yeah, that was all Governor DeSantis.
I mean, Governor DeSantis won his race.
Yes, he did.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Overwhelming force.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I didn't say that out loud, did I?
Yes, you did.
All my Republicans are going, well, Joel, it was a sole election.
So our last point of this 20-point plan to revive the Democratic Party, and any party can take from this list, is staying the course despite the endless second guessing of the media, of the press. And I know for my prior experience, going back 30 odd years, the press has always had something to say about the campaign, about the number of signs that they've seen, how charismatic a particular candidate is, or my favorite, how much money they have in their campaign.
I was going to say that now.
Good.
The one thing I'm
Lord.
sitting here thinking is the only thing they care about is how much money you have. Because the minute they see that you have a lot of money, the marketing guy is coming next. Right?
Oh, yes.
They make the mention. They say, well, Jeb Bush has raised over $20 million and he's the lead in fundraising. And the next thing you know, everybody's now called Ron DeSantis and said, has called Jeb Bush and said, hey, I didn't see you. I saw you on your debate and it was so good. Why aren't you in our newspaper? What?
Exactly.
I was like,
yes.
I've heard that story. Like, hey, I saw you at Waxahachie or whatever they say. And it's like, you saw me where? At that little place that I was at? And you want me to advertise? Sure, I'm going to jump on that. It's not the fact that I had, it wasn't the fact that your news media wrote that I had $1 million, right?
Exactly.
That wasn't that. You looked at my money and you see $100,000 and you see me non-advertising with you. So you put me on a debate on your show and then you have his commercials and my commercials.
Unbelievable. I mean, every cycle, I would get the emails, in the phone calls. Hey, you need this or you need that, and and getting the same for our clients.
I would have put myself in the Pine Hills Press before I put myself in the Sentinel. I mean, that's the difference between, where the Pine Hills Press isn't going to tell you how much I've raised. They're not going to do all that stuff, but they're going to care about me advertising
and doing a good story.
They now
possibly
get,
on you.
They now get 6 more months to survive on their because I actually put money in there.
People read it.
What's the money what's the investment I'm gonna get from the Orlando Sentinel when they say I'm a horrible person and I shouldn't be alive because I believe that abortion should be.
Again, it's an investment, like you said, and again, going back to the whole premise of this 20-point plan is that we do look at campaigns as a startup, as a small business, and there are investments, financial resources investments made, the time, the energy.
And why do you think I said Watermark? Why do you think I said Orlando Weekly? I know how they survive. I know that they may have an opinion and it may be different than mine, but if I'm open to them and I'm available for them, that will pay off dividends that you will never get from anything else. But you have to be brave, and that's the one thing I find less and less in our character of our politicians is that bravery.
Yes.
Now, would you be the guy? I've never seen anybody. I've suggested all the time. I was like, you need some B-roll. You need to embrace the public transportation system. You need to meet some people that actually travel on it and find out how long it takes them. I want you to know that, because if
Yeah.
you don't know that person and you're going to lead, you're not going to be very effective. And if you can't do that for me
Correct.
as a consultant, you can't do that for your community. Okay, well, I still have to take the job, but I have less confidence at the end that you're going to be the leader I want.
All right.
So, I mean, that's just my opinion. And, like opinions are like buttholes, everybody's
Everyone
got
has one. Everyone has one.
And you all use them the same way.
So that is the wrap up of our 20-point plan here on the David Washington Show. We want to know what you think, what your opinion is. Let's hear it. Let's hear it. What do you agree with? What don't you agree with? Is this realistic? Have you worked in a campaign? What can you offer? What can you add to this plan or maybe take away? So please let us know. Share this with everyone you know, especially those politicals in your life. Please hit the notification button so you know when we are broadcasting again. We love bringing this content to you every week, several times during the week. So please.
And I just want to thank you for having me on your show. It's a privilege to be on the David Washington Show because there's so much information that you pass on here.
Well, thank
so
you.
If you haven't subscribed, I've subscribed on my personal, because this is a show that you need to be watching. You need to know that there's people out there willing to help you advance your career or advance your business, or just to be there to be that listening. I want to say David and I are on an app, and I'm going to pitch the app because it's called OWWL. Now, OWWL, OWWLL, it is a way to get sound advice for a very inexpensive 10-minute call. You want to get another 10 minutes because the call is going the way you want to, you invest in the conversation. That may be $1 to start with. It may be $10, but that is simply, I'm not giving it away for free. Here, I give it away for free. So then when you have questions, give us a call.
Yes.
Download OWL. Give us a call. $1, maybe $10. I don't know what the price will be at the time, but look us up. Have that 10-minute conversation and find out. This is one of the most intelligent men I know, and literally, he's worth paying $100 for. So, OWWLL, OWL. Download it today. Look at the professionals that are there, and it's instantaneous call to somebody who actually is a leader in the industry. And I thank you very much, David, for letting me pitch that. But that's my ambassador self in me. So
I understand. Thank you. And like Joel said, subscribe to our channel where you can see and listen to, on YouTube, at
Jay Hawksley. Jay Washington is that one.
Exactly.
And then it's at Jay Washington 0421 or 20. It depends on which one, because it's one of them was already taken. So,
but you can go to our website where all of our socials are at, and you can go and visit us and subscribe to our socials. YouTube channel, you'll get the Morning Constitution, you can make this shit up, and the David Washington Show. So please visit us, go to our website, and learn more about us. This is the David Washington Show. Bye now.